Today I'm going to be synthesizing Dr. Andrew Huberman's podcast with the famous Jocko Willink.
Bring it.
How to become resilient, forge your identity, and lead others. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number one, exercise. If you want to be a great leader, you do not have a choice. You have to exercise. You have to get a sweat on. Jocko says anywhere between 8 minutes of exercise, for example, if you have to catch a flight and you've got literally no time to, up to 3 hours every single day. And that is a key point, every single day. And he does it as soon as he's woken up. Jocko wakes up extremely early. Why does he do this? He does this because early in the morning is a time when nobody can contact him. So, emails, text messages, phone calls, nobody. Nobody's in his ear telling him what to do, the day he's got mapped out, no family stresses, no one's up. That's why he's up as early as he is. It's his time. It's his time to get a sweat on. It's his time to get that done before anyone else has woken up and even thought about what they're doing that day. That's what makes a good leader. During his workouts, Jocko actually tracks what he does each workout. So for example, if he's doing my favorite tricep pull downs, he'll go, okay, today I did 30. So tomorrow I'm going to try and do 32 of the same weight, or 35. Okay, that's obviously quite high rep, maybe low weight, but he tracks the weight he uses and the number of reps in a journal every single time he works out to ensure that he's progressively overloading and feeling that sense of improvement, not just for physical reasons, but also mental reasons, to make himself feel better. Like, yes, a month ago I was using this weight for this many reps. This month I'm using this weight for even more reps. So it's just that feeling of pride and satisfaction that you are improving. So why does he work out every single day? Well, working out gives you more energy. You literally create energy by working out. So for those being worried about being seriously tired after a workout, don't. It only happens, as Jocko said, if you go full psycho, which you can do occasionally, but for the most part, it just won't happen. Number two, spike your cortisol. Once every 24 hours, we as human beings have a very high cortisol spike, and that is a good thing. You want it to arrive ideally as early in the day as possible. Viewing sunlight, caffeine consumption, and exercise amplifies that cortisol spike. In fact, just sunlight viewing alone, as Dr. Andrew Huberman said, gives you a 50% increase in that cortisol spike, and exercise on top of that sunlight viewing gives you another 50% increase. So a huge increase in this hormone cortisol actually sets the rest of your day in motion, giving you more energy, high levels of immune function, and more focus. So ignore what everyone's saying about cortisol being a bad thing. Obviously, everything in moderation, as ever, but get that out of your mind. Cortisol is a necessary thing. It happens naturally, but you want to spike it as much as you can as early in the day as possible. And another thing that cortisol does is it actually sets an internal timer in your body so that anywhere between 14 to 16 hours later, you naturally feel much, much sleepier. Number three, eating is not always the answer for more motivation and energy. In fact, Jocko says that food slows him down. He doesn't like to do physically active things with food in his stomach. In fact, he doesn't want to have food in his stomach really when he has to perform anything to a very high level, when he has to execute on anything. He doesn't want to have much, if any, food in his stomach. And Dr. Andrew Huberman responded to that by saying, if people focus much more on movement and hydration, then they'll have far more energy throughout their day than compared to if they were focused on eating food. For example, if you're focused on eating food, if you're hungry, do not think that that's going to make you more motivated. Do not think that that's going to go, okay, once I've eaten, then I'm going to want to go to the gym. Then I'm going to want to do 2 hours more of deep work or whatever, an hour and a half block. That's not the case. Hydration and movement is what will create that motivation. Number four, cold water exposure. Jocko gets into a cold bath every single day after training. Now, I know Dr. Andrew Huberman's spoken about the disadvantage of getting into cold water exposure after training, and that is it doesn't permit the maximum amount of hypertrophy that you get after a gym session. So if you're trying to build muscle, it actually somewhat inhibits that, but Jocko does it every single day, and therefore I'm putting it in my list as one of the most important traits of a good leader. Cold water exposure, make it daily. Number five, detach from the mob. When you're in a leadership position, you are essentially in charge of a mob, especially in terms of their morale. They're a mob and they feed off each other in much the same way as a mob on the street, like a riot. Rioters feed off each other. For example, if someone smashes the window, then the chances are that other people in the crowd will want to smash that same window. If someone loots a store, smashes through the window once again and raids a store, you're going to get a bunch of other people also doing the same thing and then smashing into other stores and so on and so forth. They feed off that frenzy, crazy energy. You are in charge of that mob. You are in charge of that mob energy, that mob mentality. And you as a leader can't get caught up with the mob. So detach yourself mentally so you don't get caught up with the mob in terms of their emotions and state of mind. Because if you do get caught up in their emotions and their state of mind, their morale, you can't actually correct it. So Jocko actually used an example of one of his operations. In short, a couple of bad guys were killed, everything went to plan, high fives were given all around, and the mob was saying, the mob mentality was, we don't need a debrief, let's just hit the sack, let's get to bed and wake up refreshed tomorrow. We don't need to do anything, let's just go. This is when a leader must step in. And Jocko said that his response was, guys, that was a great op, but there was plenty of room for improvement. Bring the mob back from that slight arrogance, that slight group mob arrogant mentality that's been funneled, spread around, back to center line. And the same when things don't go well and the mob is moping around and upset. You are the one to bring that spirit back up by saying things like, okay, what can we learn from that? Here's where I went wrong and here's where we went wrong. So as a leader, you're generally countering what the mob mentality is. You're modulating their confidence, their ego, their arrogance, or their sadness, their slight state of depression. You are ensuring that they don't go to either extreme. You're keeping them on center, on that center line, balanced, so that they don't get out of control. So act as a counterbalance to other people. People are emotional, so keep them balanced. Number 6, dealing with adversity. The best way to deal with problems, adversity, grief, depression, sadness is with action. Action is the answer to all of your problems. Because the more you sit and spend time with that adversity, dealing with it, action is the response to 99% of your problems in life. So rather than looking for things outside of yourself, such as a job or a relationship, as sources of energy and motivation, use action as your source of energy. Number 7, use grief for the good. Use it as a source of motivation with the mindset of, I get to wake up every single morning. You, unfortunately, do not. And I will not let you down. So Jocko had a couple of personal anecdotes that he shared on the podcast saying of members that he lost. And, he got quite, it was quite an emotional, traumatic experiences. And this is such a key important of leadership, he said, is having that mindset of, you know what, you didn't make it. I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to do everything that you wanted to do. I'm going to make you proud. I promise. That is the mindset you should have in terms of how to deal with grief. Number 8, a superpower in life that most people don't know that they have. Detachment. An ability to sit back and detach from all of your problems in life, all of your worries, everything anxiety-ridden in your day-to-day experience. Move into the third person and look at yourself and your current condition from outside of yourself. So this is me looking at myself in the third person. Why should you do this? You should do this because most people get so bogged down by their own storm. For example, say you have a really bad breakup. You get upset. You get miserable. You think it's the worst thing that can happen in life. You think there's nothing worse going on. It's just your breakup. You feel horrible. You feel depressed. It's the worst possible thing that could have happened. When in actual fact, what you really need to do is pull yourself out of that, see yourself in third person and go, you know what? Hey, that really wasn't that bad. She wasn't right for me anyway. And I've got bigger things on. I've got bigger priorities. I've got a purpose. I've got a mission. I'm pursuing this, and this. I want to become this person. It didn't really work out. Hey, you know what? Let's not stress. Let's take action, because action is motivation. Action leads to motivation. I know that. So you know what? I'm not going to sit. I'm not going to wallow. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to analyze, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to take action. But you know what? It's really not all that bad. That is detaching from the situation. That is pulling yourself out and moving into the third person, an incredible quality of all leaders. So learn to see the bigger picture. Your problems aren't that big a deal. For so many, however, including you, including me, I've been there, seen that, done that. It's your whole world. You have to pull yourself out of that. And I've got a nice little quote for you. When you're facing a significant problem in life, a relationship, a problem with a job, you've got to remember you're in one ecosystem. And if you step outside of that ecosystem, nobody really cares. So the solution to your problem will not be found in that problem. You have to get out of that problem so that you can look at it, make an assessment of how to solve that problem, or whether you even need to solve the problem in the first place or not. And Jocko used another example of his daughter who was studying for a maths class, and one day she came back and was really upset, and she said, "Dad, I don't know my times tables. I just don't know how to do my times tables, and I failed in class today and I got a 0 out of 10 or whatever it was. I don't know what to do." And she was really upset. And I actually remember back in my day when I was of that age and had a similar feeling, and Jocko was like, "Well, did he study for them? Did he study for the test? Did he make flashcards? Did he use repetition? Did he look at them before bed to help me go in?" And she said, I've never even looked at timetables before. I've never even revised them. And Jocko went, "There you go." But the point was, she was so in her own head. Obviously she's very young and so forth, but it's so easy to get so bogged down in your own head that you must detach. And it's such a hard thing to do, but if you can do it, then you will become an excellent individual. You will become a great leader. Detach. And here's one more example to do with detachment, because it's such an important theme of being a great leader. And this is how to deal with confrontation. For example, let's say that someone starts on you at the supermarket. Here's what you do. You take a deep breath, you step back, make some space to open the field of vision. Okay, because if you're here, you're just closed off. But if you're here, you open the field of vision, you can see around you. You detach emotionally, i.e. don't get caught up in your own emotions of anger and whatnot. He started on you, don't get caught up in that anger. And instead of putting your chin down and your hands up, i.e. fighting stance, put your chin up and hands down. Because that will signal to your body to calm down.
Try and calm down.
And changes your vision. It will change your outlook on the confrontation, on the situation. That's that sort of body-mind connection. It makes you listen and stop talking. And the key to detachment is not talking. Number 9, dealing with social media hate and other forms of hate. If someone says something directly to Jocko Willink that he doesn't like, he says that the reason why he doesn't like it is because there is likely some truth in what they are saying about him. So the best thing to actually say to yourself, or him, or her, or them, is, yeah, you know what? I do sometimes jump to conclusions. I am sometimes a little bit arrogant. I do sometimes celebrate my wins for a little too long. I am sometimes just a bit weird. I'm an odd bloke. I am sometimes a bit socially awkward. I do rush to do X, Y, and Z. Accept it. Because if you're getting butthurt about it, the chances are that there is an element of truth in it. So rather than, once again, wallowing in that butthurt, detach, become a third person character in your story, in your movie, and realize, you know what? I'm upset because there's some truth in that. I'm upset because I've made a mistake. I'm upset because this is one of my character flaws. And hey, we're all human. We're all imperfect. We're all flawed. That's okay. The key is, as all effective leaders do, once again, going back to the detachment, is that they detach and see the situation for what it is. And that is way more healthy and liberating than saying, "I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You're just insecure yourself. I hate you," this, that, getting confrontational, getting up in their face, getting angry, and getting all worked up. Detaching, seeing the third person, and realizing, I'm upset because there's truth in this, is the key, is the answer to a more liberating, freeing, happier life, and is something that the most effective leaders such as Jocko Willink, and all respect to him, in the world do. I hope this video helped. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you in the next one.